So Intel is a terrible looking stock right now. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Let's jump in. Alright, I've got Intel's stock chart pulled up in TradingView on the screen right now. You can see it's been in a downtrend for pretty much all of 2020. You can see these lower highs, right? Just the high here in January, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. I mean, that's been pretty gross. Right here, this huge low, that was the start of the pandemic in the States, so that was the reason for the huge sell-off there. Every stock pretty much sold off at that point. That was a big crash. And then there was a big rally, and it never got back up to its pre-pandemic high. And that's concerning for this stock because it is a tech stock. And virtually every tech stock in America got back up to its previous pandemic high and then some. I mean, almost all of them did, because 2020 has just been so good for tech stocks because everybody's staying at home more and using tech more. So this is very troubling for a tech company to not get back up to their highs. And not only did they not get back up to their highs, they started just creating lower low after lower low. Look at this. I mean, they're trending straight down and it is not a good look. Their chart looks very bad. And not only are they trending lower, they're trending lower on these massive gap downs. This is really, really bad, and on big volume too. These massive gap downs are on huge volume, big red volume days. So you have this massive gap down, and then you have like this consolidation period where you've got buyers coming in thinking, you know, that gap down was just, it wasn't real. You know, this is a good value play now. Intel is worth more than this, so let's buy in. So you get these buyers trickling in, and then nothing has changed. Intel is just not performing as well in 2020 as its competitors, AMD and NVIDIA, right? So you have better options out there. So you keep getting bad news from Intel, you get another gap down. And then just this past week, another, not quite gap down, but I wouldn't be surprised if we started next week with a gap down from there. I would not be surprised at all. You know, NVIDIA and AMD have been killing it in 2020. Those are Intel's direct competitors. On the flip side, Intel lost Apple as one of its biggest customers in 2020. Apple is now making their own computer chips for their computers going forward. This looks really bad for Intel. There's not any specific chart pattern on this chart for me to show you other than it's in a massive downtrend, right? Your lower highs and your lower lows. You have these huge gaps down followed by consolidation periods and then eventually another gap down. So I really think I would not be surprised if this big drop right here is the start of another trend down for Intel. That just almost makes too much sense, right? You've got huge gap down, consolidation period, huge gap down, consolidation period. What's next? Another huge gap down to continue this channel, this bear channel. So this stock looks absolutely terrible right now. I want nothing to do with it. I'm not going anywhere near Intel until they show that they have turned themselves around. If they can move this chart back to the upside, get it back into a bull channel, bull trend of some kind, then I might start looking at it to be an investor. But until then, I want nothing to do with Intel. I would much rather be in Apple, who is making their own chips now, or NVIDIA or AMD, which are Intel's direct competitors, and they're having much better years. Look at NVIDIA's chart, for example. You're going from the bottom left to the top right. That is a bull trend, and a very good bull trend. We are starting to see a little bit of consolidation here over the last few months, but in general, it's been going straight up. Fantastic year for NVIDIA. Look at AMD. You're going from the bottom left to the top right. Nothing but good things for AMD so far. And like with NVIDIA, AMD is consolidating a little bit right now, but they broke out of that channel, this bull flag or bull pennant that they were making. I actually have a price target on AMD right now to the upside. I think I have a price target of $115. So I see AMD going a lot higher from here. So NVIDIA, AMD having great years, Intel having a terrible year, and it doesn't look like it's going to get much better. This huge down day last week was on massive volume. That's not a good sign. You never want to see, I mean, if you're trying to be a bull for a stock, You never want to see big down days on big volume, right? When those two things combine, it means it's more likely the truth about which direction that stock is heading forward. If you have a big price action day on big volume, that's true for both directions. If you have a big green day, a big up day on massive volume, it's more likely that that is trying to tell you this is the direction that this stock is going. So if you have a huge down day on huge volume, that is a terrible sign. And look, it's done it before. We had this huge gap down on huge volume, right? We had this huge gap down on huge volume. It doesn't mean it's going to predict the future, but it is an indicator that tells us this is likely the direction that this stock is going. We are a little bit oversold on the RSI, but that's more of a short-term indicator, which means, we could see some buying activity come in just like every other gap down they had. Gap down, buying opportunity supposedly for some investors, but it wasn't a buying opportunity, right? Because they ended up losing money when the stock kept going down eventually later on. So Intel looks terrible. I could absolutely see it crashing soon, maybe as early as tomorrow, this week. There's not a whole lot of good news coming out for Intel lately. This chart looks terrible. It's a $200 billion company. It's a giant company. It was a $300 billion company, a massive company, one of the biggest companies in the world. So is this the next big tech giant that's gonna just kind of fizzle out and die? That almost feels impossible to say about Intel, right? I mean, growing up, Intel was just one of the biggest tech companies in the world for the longest time. They were the computer chip maker, right? So it almost feels like this can't possibly happen, but they lost one of their biggest contracts in Apple. So AMD and Nvidia are better than ever. Intel just lost one of its biggest contracts in Apple. There's not a whole lot of good news out there for Apple right now, and this chart just looks absolutely terrible. So is it going to happen? Who really knows? But the indicators do not look good for Intel going forward. Okay, that's what I got for Intel, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do stock price predictions and stock analysis on stock charts. So join the channel if you like stuff like that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.